Thanks, Priscilla. Well, so welcome everyone. It's so lovely to be invited to do this. Just want to say an immediate thank you to Lou for inviting me and Priscilla. And yeah, what a treat. So it's going to be a whistle-stop tour. Of course it is, because it's a huge subject and a tiny amount of time. So I'll just dive in. I'm going to tell you that I decided not to make an attempt even to be chronological. But where I can, I'll give you a sense of some kind of timeline. And I must tell you that, I have really learnt a lot by compiling this talk, because I know how to sing these songs, but I didn't know all that much about them. So it's been absolutely amazing to revisit the songs and also just find out more about the background and the language and how important these songs are for so many people. So I thought I'd do a very, very basic intro just to make sure we're on the same page. So Yiddish is the name of the language and spoken by Ashkenazi Jews in Eastern Europe. A lot in common with German. Little bits, salt and pepper, of other Eastern European languages, and also Hebrew. And it's not a relation of Ladino, which is the other main language, which is more like Spanish and spoken by the Sephardi Jews of the Middle East. So they think that the first Yiddish songs were being developed in about the 14th century. And from that time, there was this idea of a split in the focus. And what happened was secular songs tended to be in Yiddish, and the rabbis of that time directed that the sacred songs should be in Hebrew. And but over the years, there are definitely sacred songs in Yiddish that have come into the repertoire, and I'll be sharing a little bit about that later. I thought I would also bring in the word klezmer, in case you're wondering, or in case you don't know where that fits in. And the Yiddish word for musicians is klezmorim. So there's this very, very important relationship. I won't go too far into that. I don't actually know much about klezmer music, but I will say that as with the Yiddish songs, it draws in musicians from both within and far beyond the Jewish community. So in the same way as gospel music, which I feel a huge affinity with, even though it's not my roots, it's not in my blood. There seem to be resonances in these Yiddish songs and in klezmer music that go directly to people's hearts. And again, I'll talk about some of that sense of crossover later on. So that's probably enough of an intro just for the moment. And I thought a great way into the songs themselves would be to sing you a little something. And the song that I've chosen is called Unser Nigendl, which means our little tune. And the text and the melody are by a chap called Nochem Sternheim. So he was born in 1879. He was killed during World War II. And he is defined as a folk poet from Galicia in Eastern Europe. So within the song, it talks about how the tunes, it's like a song within a song or a story within a song, talks about how these tunes accompany us through our lives from generation to generation. And now I'm sure you're likely to know the Hebrew phrase Ledor Vador, from generation to generation. That actual phrase comes up later on in one of the songs I've chosen. But the image, the idea of going through the generations is so powerful, and it comes up quite a lot within this repertoire of songs. So this song, it starts off with the Bobet and the Zayda, the grandmother and grandfather. And it says, this is a song that they used to sing when they were children. And then it goes forward in time and it says the mama and the tate, obviously the mother and the father, and they used to sing it when they were children. And the last verse says, die ganze Mishpoche, the whole family. This is a tune that they used to sing, we used to sing when we were little. So what I'm going to do here is I won't be suggesting that you sing everything, but I do love to get people singing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the words of the chorus into the chat. So if you would like to access the chat, you will find it there. Just going to do that now. And I'll just read them so you've got a sense, and I'll do a little pre-sing so you've got a sense of where we're going. It goes, Ot azoi, this way. Wieder nicken klingt atzinder. So this is how the sound is now, how the song sounds now. Freilich is happy, joyous. So joyous, so joyously. Sing, children. Ot azoi, that line repeats. As a freilich lo mir alle gehen. Let's all just go and be happy. So if you want a little chew or a read of the words, this would be a great moment to do it in the comfort of your own home. And I have different setups for my sound. So there will be a couple of moments where I'm switching between setups because I have a very jolly device which is called a looper. And it means that even though I'm all alone in my cabin, I can actually have other voices doing other things. Well, truly it's my voice doing other things, but it can happen at the same time. So here we go. We're going to do Unser Nigendl. You're welcome to sing the chorus, and let's see how we get on. Haben wir ein Nigendl in Naches und in Frieden, in Naches und in Frieden. Singen wir es, klingt es also schön. Das hat noch gesungen die Bobbe mitten Seiden, wenn sie seinen Kindern noch gewähnt. Oi, 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 azoi, je wieder nicken klingt atzinder, asa freilich singt je kinderot. Azoi, je wieder nicken klingt atzinder, asa freilich slo mir alle gehen. Ot, azoi, je wieder nicken klingt atzinder, asa freilich singt je kinderot. Azoi, je wieder nicken klingt atzinder, asa freilich slo mir alle gehen. Haben wir ein Nigendl, singen wir zusammen, singen wir zusammen. Singen wir es, klingt es also schön. Das hat noch gesungen der Tate mit der Mammen, wenn sie seinen Kindern noch gewähnt. Oi, 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 azoi, je wieder nicken klingt atzinder, asa freilich singt je kinderot. Azoi, je wieder nicken klingt atzinder, asa freilich slo mir alle gehen. Haben wir ein Nigendl in Masel und in Broche, in Masel und in Broche. Singen wir es, klingt es also schön. Das hat noch gesungen die ganze Mischpoche, wenn sie seinen Kindern noch gewähnt. Oi, 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 azoi, je wieder nicken klingt atzinder, asa freilich singt je kinderot. Azoi, je wieder nicken klingt atzinder, asa freilich slo mir alle gehen. One more time and ot,
Azoi, wieder nicken klingt das in der Azafreile singt Jack in der Rot. Azoi, wieder nicken klingt das in der Azafreile, slow mir alle gehen. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I do think that's one of the best songs ever, really. I've often started concerts with that one, whether they were Yiddish song concerts or not. So I will switch back so that... Oh, thank you. Did I get a reactions button? I love the reactions button. My favourite is this button. So if I do any, I hope I'll do something that will shock you at some point during the evening so I can get the shock button. So this is my favourite. Okay, so let me just switch back, friends, and that means that I don't have to have the headphones on all the time because they're no fun. So here we go. I'll just change that and I will change that. Okie doke. So I'll just double check that you're still hearing me okay. All okay? Fabulous. Okay, this one is called Yeti, the microphone. It's quite a nice microphone, but I love it's called Yeti. Anyway, nothing to do with Yiddish, sorry. Get back to the point. I thought it might be interesting to tell you a little bit about how I came into Yiddish singing, because as the story goes on and as the songs go on, I think that's perhaps nice to know. So I was originally an English teacher. When I left university, I went into English teaching. And I moved into doing music in my 30s. When I turned 30, that was my crossroads. And I decided, right, got to try doing music. And one of the best things that happened to me was I was invited to sing at friendship clubs. So Jewish friendship, mostly Jewish friendship clubs. So for some, older people gathering, maybe having a lovely lunch together and then a bit of entertainment. And that entertainment was often me. So very often I would be asked the question, do you know any Yiddish songs? And as time went by, I realized I wanted to be able to answer yes to that question. So that kind of got me in the mindset for it. And then I was lucky enough to receive a grant from the JMI, the Jewish Music Institute, to go off and learn some Yiddish songs and to do a concert. And that concert was recorded live in 2006. And that was called Raisins and Almonds. Give me a wave if you've come across the lullaby Rozinkes mit Mandeln. Yeah, okay, one of the most well-known Yiddish songs, fantastic song. So that's what I called my CD, Raisins and Almonds. And we may have a sing of that later. We'll see how the time goes. But I wonder if anyone wants to just take a guess. You could put in the chat or unmute for a sec, but I don't know if you can unmute, but I wonder if you can guess what the most requested song was when I was doing the friendship clubs. What I'll do is I'll carry on talking, but if you want to just put a note in the chat, I'd be interested because I'm imagining a lot of you are likely to know this. Okay, someone's suggesting Romania by Mir Bist Du Shane, very popular, very popular. Strangely not, but I'll carry on, and in a minute I'll sing you the song, and you're likely to know it. So generally, the songs, the lullabies and the songs of the sort of 17th and 18th centuries are anonymous, but some of them do have known composers, and this is one of them. Okay, Tumba Lalaika, fantastic, good suggestion. I'm going to tell you now that the song, My Yiddish Mama, now that is, I have to confess, a kind of joint top. So actually the song was Eufen Pripyatchik. Give me a nod or a wave if you know Eufen Pripyatchik. Okay, so very powerful song. So So you can translate Eufen Pripyat, it like you can say on the hearth, maybe it's like the fireside. Oh, thanks, Malcolm, got a thumbs up. Yes, or at the fireplace. So it's by Mark Warszawski, and his dates are 1840 to 1907. And he was prolific, and he had collections of his songs published, in the early 1900s. So part of the reason I wanted to include Eufen Pripyat is, apart from being an amazing, beautiful song in itself, it's also one of the many songs that's been adapted for different purposes at different times. I learned a new word, by the way, when I was researching for this. I don't know if anyone knows the word contrafacted. I didn't know it, but it's when a song, maybe it's not only songs, I don't know, but it's when a song gets kind of adapted and used in different situations. Maybe it's like all those many different tunes that are given to Adon Olam. I don't know if that's contrafaction. Anyway, so instead of the original words of the song, which are a very gentle lullaby, well, a very gentle tune about the rabbi and the little children by the fireside, and the rabbi is teaching them the letters of the Hebrew alphabet with the vowels that go underneath and the different ways that changes the sound. So you'll hear in the chorus, Kometz, Aleph, O. And that means that with the Aleph, oh, beautiful, used it as a prelude for the High Holy Days. How perfect. So the Kometz is that tiny little vowel that looks like a tiny T, capital T, and the Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew letter. And when you put the Aleph and the Kometz underneath, it makes the sound O. So that's why it's Kometz, Aleph, O, and that's how they used to learn the alphabet. Kometz, Bes, Bo, Kometz, Gimel, Go. That's how they did it. So a very innocent song. And some amazing stuff happened over the years. So, for example, during the war, there was a version of the song, the same melody, but the words had been changed to at the ghetto wall a fire burns instead of on the hearth a fire burns, and the surveillance is keen. They changed it. And also, I read that in the early 60s in the Soviet Union, there was even this very powerful version that you could translate as, even if they beat you or throw you on the pyre, repeat Kometz, Aleph, O. So it's, it's like a mountain range. There are all these different layers of the rock. And I just want to say here, I'm going to talk a little bit more about publications earlier on, but I just want to show you, I don't know if anyone knows this, but there's this incredible set of 3 songbooks. And this is the first of them, Pearls of Yiddish Song. I've got them on the desk here because I just wanted to make sure they make an appearance. And if you are looking for a resource, these are so amazing. So these are my go-to Yiddish songbooks, amazing books. And they're by Eleanor Gordon Mlotek and Joseph Mlotek. And a lot of what I'll be telling you about the songs, I've gathered straight from these gems. They call them pearls for good reason. So I'm going to sing you Eufen Pripyat with the guitar. And even if you don't know the words, I will actually do a little version of it just with the melody a couple of times, I think, as well, just because you can't beat it, really. It's a perfect song. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. La, 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 la. Eufen Pripyat brennt a fire,
schon in Stub ist heiß und der Rebbe lernt, kleine Kinder lernt, dem Aleph Beis. Und der Rebbe lernt, kleine Kinder lernt, dem Aleph Beis. Setze Kinder, gedenktje Teiere, was ihr lernt dort. Sagt je noch einmal und tacke noch einmal, kommet alle vor. Sagt je noch einmal und tacke noch einmal, kommet alle vor. Lernt Kinder mit Geräusch Cheshek, was euch ich reichon, was wird Kicher von euch kennen Ivre, der bekommt davon, was wird Kicher von euch kennen Ivre, der bekommt davon. Setze Kinderlech, gedenktje Teiere, was ihr lernt dort. Sagt je noch einmal und tacke noch einmal, kommet alle vor. Sagt je noch einmal und tacke noch einmal, kommet alle vor. Thank you. So many of these songs are so incredibly precious. I never tire of them. Yeah, amazing pieces. So I wanted to carry on and talk a little bit about political Yiddish songs, or let's say politics within song. Yiddish language songs. So I've already touched on how a huge number of these Yiddish songs, whether they were originally written that way or adapted later, you could call political songs. There were workers' choral societies, and these were popular and continued all the way through until the 1960s. So that was one way that the political songs and other songs were shared. And people wrote and sang about resistance and suffering and rebellion, the terrible conditions under which the workers were working sometimes. And I want to bring in next a huge song, the one that's called Zog nit keinmal, which means never say. It's one of the most widely known, and also I would say one of the most powerful, not only one of the most powerful Yiddish songs, I know thousands of songs, it's one of the most powerful songs I've ever heard. And also, in the way I was describing before, this is one that's really found resonance for so many people that aren't Jewish, as well as many who are. So it was written in 1943 by Hirsch Glick for the Vilna Ghetto resistance. And I want to share with you a version sung by none other than Paul Robeson. I think it's a stunning rendition. The rhythm has been changed. The original version is a very, very powerful da 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 da, really like that. They have changed the rhythm. I don't know why, but also I need to just tell you, unfortunately, there's a typo. There's a little mistake. When you see the YouTube, you'll see it says Zot nit keinmal. They wrote it wrong, so I sent a note and asked them to correct it. But it's quite an old recording, an old thing on YouTube, so a number of people have asked them to change it. But I find that the way that Paul Robeson sings this song, I feel it's a perfect example of the way that these songs can come from a tradition that's not yours and still just speak straight to your heart and your soul. He starts by singing a verse in Yiddish, in English, and then he switches into the Yiddish song. And I think you'll hear, he must have worked so hard to learn the song, and it feels to me like he understands every word of it. It's just fabulous. So I do want to tell you, I'm going to be sharing from my YouTube. Sometimes the volume is a little low when I share this way, so please be on standby to raise your own volume if you find that once I start the sharing it's too quiet, and I apologize in advance if that is the case. So here we are. I'm just going to share the picture and the sound. You'll need to give me a wave if there's anything not working as it should. And I will go to full screen. Here we go.
For sure the hour for which we yearn will yet arrive.
I don't know why it didn't start at the beginning. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back. We don't want to miss any of it. There we go.
Never say that you have reached the very end, when leaden skies a bitter future may portend. For sure the hour for which we yearn will yet arrive, and our marching steps will thunder we survive. For sure the hour for which we yearn will yet arrive, and our marching steps will thunder we survive. Not lead but blood inscribed this bitter song we sing. 'Tis not a caroling of birds upon the wing, but 'twas a people midst the crashing fires of hell that sang this song and fought courageous till it fell. But 'twas a people midst the crashing fires of hell that sang this song and fought courageous till it fell. So die Kinder, als du gehst, die Blitzen Wege, den Himmel bleine verstellen neue Tage, weil kommen wird noch unser ausgebete Schau, uns Wetter beugt unser Trott mir seinen da. Weil kommen wird noch unser ausgebete Schau, uns Wetter beugt unser Trott mir seinen da. Geschrieben ist das Lied mit Blut und nicht mit Blei, es ist nicht ein Lied, wenn sie mir Vogel auf der Frei, nos hat auf Hoch zwischen Paaren die Talent, das Lied gesungen mit ner Gannes in die Hand. Nos hat auf Hoch zwischen Paaren die Talent, das Lied gesungen mit ner Gannes in die Hand.
Yeah. I just thought I would add before moving on from that, that when I was researching and looking for a version of that song, I also found a French punk version. Astounding. So a young tattooed woman singing her heart out in Yiddish, with a distorted guitar backing her, and it was just amazing. I was so struck by this breadth of resonance that the song has, and perhaps it's it's this sort of shared human condition feeling about it, and perhaps anyone who has suffered in whatever way will get it. So I also wanted to share another little thing, a gem that I found. So I wanted to share more of a workers' song with you. again, these workers' choirs would have sung this one too. So I've been lucky enough to have some really lovely Yiddish teachers. And at one point, as part of our lessons to learn, we were learning the days of the week. And we learnt this song. So it's a fantastic teaching tool apart from anything else. And another very typical thing about these songs, this tradition, is the way that humour can be used, even if in a very dark and difficult situation. So although it's a song about extreme poverty and hunger, this song presents it with a very light touch. And even lighter is, I found this gorgeous version. I do hope you'll enjoy it. So, and I do find it so inspiring that there are young children who have clearly just been steeped in this Yiddish language and tradition right from the start. So this is a song called Bulbes, and there's translation underneath, so you don't need me to tell you any more about it. But Bulbes is the word for potatoes, and it's about how often they ended up eating potatoes because there wasn't anything else. So let me just get to the right place and I will share that song with you. So the name of these young children singing are Pina Minkin and Dinah Slepovitz. So, and this guy is Zissel Slepovitch, who I think is the father of Dina. So here we are, let me share with you. I hope you'll love this. I love it. Okay, here we go. Isn't that an absolute delight? I'll try and share the... Oh, Cliff, you said you were hearing it but not seeing it. Oh.
Something's set wrong if I'm the only one, so not to worry.
Oh, Cliff, I'm so sorry you couldn't see it. I will try and follow up. Maybe what I'll do is send, I don't know, I'll find a way to send the links maybe to Lou or to Priscilla, and then anyone who's here perhaps could see them another time. But yeah. Give me a wave if you could see it. Oh, phew. So, sorry, Cliff. I can always send you the link later anyway.
That's showbiz.
So sweet. Absolutely. Yeah, Pauline. So true. Absolutely delightful. Honestly, you could look those guys up because there's other recordings that they've done. It's just fantastic. Okay. Yes, so we couldn't talk about Yiddish song without talking about Yiddish theatre songs, a little bit at least. So many songs, many Yiddish songs were brought in as incidental music in musicals or operettas, but some became really big hits. We've already talked about one of them, in fact, and we're about to come back around to it. So I expect you probably already know the huge influence that Yiddish theatre music had on Tin Pan Alley, on Broadway, Hollywood, and how they wove in these Yiddish songs with synagogue modes and stuff. Get a message from Gail. My parents took my older sister to the Yiddish theatre. Wow. I wish I could have had that experience too. Beautiful. Irving Berlin, for example, he's a really good example of one of these composers who moved from the Yiddish songs to the ones with English lyrics, but you can sort of hear the roots. You can hear the roots. So I thought I would share a song. It was one of the first that I ever learned, and my dad's here tonight. I'm very happy my dad, Mike Silver, is in the room tonight. He at one point said that I should sing it at every concert, possibly as my encore. I have sung it at a lot of concerts. So it was composed in 1932, and the lyrics are by Jacob Jacobs, and the music is by Sholem Secunda. So it was originally actually written for a comedy musical, and the name of the musical I discovered was called Menken Leben, nor men lost nicht, which means you could live, but they don't let you. So the musical was not a big hit, but the song, the song was a huge hit. I did consider letting the Andrews sisters sing it for you, but got to please my dear dad. So I do hope you'll sing along. Funnily enough, the original Yiddish, there's my dad waving. Hello. The original Yiddish words are actually not all that nice. The title Bei mir bist du schön, already it's like this weird backhanded compliment, to me you're beautiful. Yeah. And it starts off, I've never sung the Yiddish words to the verse. I don't like them at all. They're about, you could be really ugly and you could have this wrong with you could have that wrong with you, and all of it about physical appearance, and just absolutely not stuff that I would sing. But there's actually a very sweet English verse that got written, and I hope some of you will be joining and singing with. If not with the verse, definitely. Oh yeah, Malcolm, brilliant. So here we go. Of all the girls I've known, and I've known some, till I first met you I was lonesome. When you came in sight, my heart grew light, and this whole world seemed new to me. You're really swell, I have to admit you deserve expressions that really fit you. So I racked my brain trying to explain all the things you mean to me. Bei mir bist du schön, please let me explain. Bei mir bist du schön means that you're grand. Bei mir bist du schön, again I'll explain. It means you're the fairest in the land. I could say Bella, Bella, even say wunderbar. Each language only helps me tell you how great you are. I've tried to explain. Bei mir bist du schön, so kiss me and say you understand. Bei mir bist du schön, bist du schön means that you're grand. Bei mir bist du schön. Again I'll explain. It means you're the fairest in the land. I could say Bella, Bella, even say wunderbar. Each language only helps me tell you how great you are. I've tried to explain. Bei mir bist du schön. So kiss me and say you understand. So kiss me and say you understand. Big finish. So kiss me and say you understand. Thanks everyone. Oh, great song. Hope you did the big finish with me, friends. Did you? Yeah? Woo. I'm so glad. So, it's quite a logical progression from there into talking a little bit about love songs. And from what I found out, by uns bist du schön. Oh, that's a nice message from Aaron. Thank you. So nice. So yes, love songs. From what I read, from what I've understood, you know, obviously Bei mir is like an ironic example in a way of a love song, especially in the original lyrics. But love songs are considered to be the largest and the most poetic body of these Yiddish folk songs. So certain subjects keep coming up. So you often hear the word naden, which is the word for a dowry. The yiches are very important. The yiches are the family, what you might call the family pedigree, you know. Sometimes the girl will be very picky about the husband and she wants a scholar or a rabbi and she won't settle for less. There are wedding songs. There are songs about after getting married. There are things about, you'll hear about the bride's leave taking, for example. Sometimes there's great sorrow at the bride leaving her birth family to go to the other family. And so on. There's stuff about matchmakers, clearly the shadchen, the matchmaker, mothers-in-law, popular in many traditions and no less in the Yiddish songs. Sometimes the songs are simply love songs, though. They're simply just about being in love, and I wanted to include one of them. And I also thought this was a great opportunity to cross over a little bit and talk. I know I really don't know very much about the Yiddish art songs, but I do know some people who do. So I'm going to play you an example, which is both a love song and what's called an art song. And this one is called Du scheinst wie die Sonne. I included it in my set of songs as well, the Raisins and Almonds CD. I love the song and it's great to sing. So Du scheinst wie die Sonne, you shine like the sun. And it carries on du leuchtest wie die Levone, you give light like the moon. It's fantastic. So this version of the song comes from a cycle of 20 songs from the Yiddish repertoire. And the cycle is called Die Schöne Müllerin. And it's taken its name from Schubert's Die Schöne Müllerin, the beautiful miller girl. The whole cycle actually tells a story of love right from kind of its inception and its peak and, then being sort of unrequited at the end of it. But this is a very cheery and hopeful moment from the song. No, this cycle was devised by Alex Knapp. And the singer Mark Glanville. So this is what you'll hear. It's not a film; it's just a listening version. But if you look this up, you can hear the whole 20 songs if you have something like Spotify, or it's on YouTube as well. So I'll take us back over to YouTube and we'll be able
This is
to.
Sophie.
Oh, I've got an ad. I don't want to play you the ad, so I'm going to go on to mute just for a second, and then I will queue up the. You don't want to hear about Sophie. Okay, give me a second.
Tags der Nacht denk ich und glät über dir. Und ich bin glücklich, wenn ich erfülle dir. Weil was bei dir mein Herz erweihe. Weil was bist du mir als mein Treue. Ich gleich zu Heiden in einer Schönereit. Weil was du sagst mir, das verschafft mir Freude. Den Tag, wenn ich auf dich erzählen, bin ich verliebt in dir gewesen. Darin dir sag, hab ich dich geliebt, willst du, als du bist vor mir marschiert, komm, mein Herz gegeben dir. Wenn du hast gesagt von mir, du scheinst wie die Sonne und du reichst wie die Lemone, deine Augen wie die Sterne, vom Himmel leuchten das Licht. Und ohne dir zu sein, ist mein Leben ins Verkommen. Wenn der See dich, geht mein Herz dich alle Welt. Wenn du bist, wo ist Tag, wenn du bist nicht, wo ist Nacht. Wenn Himmel läuft fern, hast du mir abgebracht. Du scheinst wie die Sonne und du reichst wie die Lemone. Hab ich eines lieb, doch schnell ich dir bei See. Wenn du bist, da ist Tag, wenn du bist nicht, da ist Nacht. Wenn der Himmel läuft fern, hast du mir abgebracht. Du scheinst wie die Sonne und du reichst wie die Lemone. Hab ich eines lieb, doch schwör ich dir bei See. Hab ich eines lieb, doch schwör ich dir bei See.
Thanks for your patience on that. Didn't want to play the ads. That's not what we want at all. Okay, so this feels like a good moment to move into talking a little bit about the religious songs. And so, as I told you at the beginning, the 14th century rabbis said that secular songs could be in Yiddish, but that the sacred songs had to be in Hebrew. And happily that did change, and so I wanted to share some of these sacred songs with you. And the first is one of my favourite Yiddish songs, and I was lucky enough to learn it many years ago at the JMI summer school, and in fact that's where I know Aaron from. Aaron. So all those years ago it was held at SOAS in London. And the arranger himself, Zalman Mlotek, so you might remember these books were by the Mlotek parents, and Zalman, their son, used to come over and lead us in song. So this is a Hanukkah song, and this year Hanukkah is so very early, so we're kind of just getting in the mood for Hanukkah. And so that's another reason why I wanted to include it. And the song is called Borech Ateh, which is a Yiddishization of Baruch Atah, as we would say at the beginning of a prayer. So the song is basically saying that the Father is lighting the Hanukkah candles, and the light from the candles is shining onto his face and in his eyes, and people are sort of relaxing around, and it's a perfect example of the way that these songs can balance a sense of sort of loss with and sort of nostalgia, grief, joy, hope, and it's all here in the same song. So this is one that I've done. I've recorded some harmony parts for it because it's a 4-part harmony song in the way that Zalman arranged it. So again, I'm just going to go over so that we can enjoy, hopefully, all these parts together, which I wouldn't be able to sing all on my own. So let's see how it goes. Don't want to play you the wrong track. That would be a silly idea. Okay, here we go. We need a G to start singing. Anyone got a G for me? I'll find a G. That would be a G. Okay, lovely. Let's see what happens. It's a little ambitious, this particular version. Hooray. Baruch Ateh, singt der Tate, und sind die Licht. Und die Sterne milde fallen auf sein blass Gesicht. Und auf Feier heilig Teier in die Augen leucht. Und Bieder mit die Glieder hat sich ausgegleicht. Und es dacht sich, und es tracht sich, es ist noch etwas da. Es ist geblieben, was zu lieben, heilig ist die Schau. Alte Klangen, lang versangen, nein, es klingt noch als singt. Sing Tate, Baruch Ateh, und ich bleib dein Kind. Years ago, I started teaching that to my choirs, actually, just my, not specifically Jewish choirs, also other singing groups. And yeah, people really fell in love with that one, as I did when I first learnt it. So let me just come back in so I can get rid of the headphones for a sec. Off they go. Right. So I wanted to come back and talk a little bit more about the publication of the songs, because, you know, obviously there's this thing of the oral tradition, the way that songs just get shared from mouth to ear to mouth to ear. And then at some point, something happens, they get kind of collected, they get pinned down. So I do want to mention that I got a lot of fantastic information from YIVO, YIVO, wonderful resource, really recommend them if you want to find out more about all this. Brilliant. So from there, I have understood that it's thought that these songs originated sort of around the 14th century, and as they put it, on Germanic soil. And it says that by the 16th century that had spread to the Slavic territories, and then that the manuscript collections of these folk songs, they do actually exist from as far back as the 16th century, and mainly in Central Europe. But we're told that the systematic collection and publication didn't start till the end of the 19th century. And obviously there'll be relationships between how easy it was to disseminate the music by then too. So it seems that Warsaw 1896 was a kind of critical moment for the start of this process. And that was, and then in 1901, there was the first major collection published. Just seeing, there are a couple of things coming up in the chat. I'm going to leave a few minutes at the end in case we want question and answer. Barbara, I have to say goodbye to you. You need to go. Thank you for coming. Yes, and Aaron, yes, Zalman. I think we must have sung with him together. And Jill, I think you were saying thank you for By Mir bist du schön. So thank you for that. So basically there's this process from the beginning of the 1900s, and then there's the establishment of this Institute for Jewish Research in Vilna. So that is the origins of YIVO, and that was 1925. This fostered the creation of this network, so a network of collectors throughout the world, and that's what eventually ended up being these fantastic books that I now have. So during the Second World War, this was an absolute, there was just a huge amount being composed over that time, hundreds of songs composed and sung, many of which, as I've referred to a couple of times now, were adapted from previous songs, i.e. contrafacted, my new favorite word of the week. And then after the war, these anthologies of folk songs continued to be issued, and there were scholarly studies and so on. And then we come to some of the names that some of us might begin to know, or maybe our parents knew, or maybe our grandparents knew, and people who are actually still around now. So for example, Chava Alberstein, who's just a beautiful Israeli singer. And a lot of the Yiddish songs that I learned from recordings that she made. There's Theodor Bickel as well, Theodor Bickel, who might also be a familiar name to you. And then there's this idea that there was this klezmer revival that happened in about the 1980s, and Yiddish folk songs kind of also then were really building, the interest in these songs was building, and a recognition of this importance, the importance of this tradition, and you know, how it fits in the bigger context as well of the study of Jewish culture and heritage. So I wanted to share one modern song, because it's so important to know people are writing Yiddish songs right now. We may think that it's an old thing, and even though the language, you know, there aren't so many Yiddish speakers in the world today, there are people composing these fabulous pieces. So I was lucky enough to learn this next song from the guy who wrote it, and I'm going to tell you the name of that in a moment, of his name in a moment, because I didn't put it in the notes properly. Sorry about that. But I'm taking us back onto the sharing, because there's an incredibly sweet version of it. So it's called Das Bissele Speis. So it's all about food. And so I love this, you know, food and music and food. We like it all. And it goes through all these different delicious things to eat. Chicken soup with Lokshen and latkes, and but there's more of a point to the song as well, in that it says, you know, please God, grant us these things. So and at the end it says, please God, grant us a guest to sit at the table and eat it all with us. So it's a very, very endearing, sweet song. So let me go back in, and I will share this lovely piece with you. I'm just going to give you the nigun because you might want to start learning it. It's very, very easy. It goes. Let me just tell you that this recording, it's a slightly different tune to what I learned. I'm just going to teach you and sing you a little bit more because you'll be able to lie with them. Lie, 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 la, lie, lie. That happens twice. Lie, 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 la, lie, lie. Then it goes major. Lie, 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 la, lie, lie, la, lie, lie, la, lie, lie. Once more. Lie, 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 la, lie, lie. Lie, 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 la, lie, lie. Lie, 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 la, lie, lie, la, lie. And I, as I was taught it, it was interleaving. So there were verses with words, and then there was the chorus to do the nigun. Oh, while we're at it, I didn't mention, but the Hebrew word for a wordless melody is nigun. So that's kind of two clear syllables, and the stress is on the second, nigun. And in Yiddish, we call it a nigun. The stress on the first syllable, nigun. And it's an example of one of these rather fiendish words to sing, where there's no vowel in between the two consonants. So I mean, if we were writing it in English letters, it would be N-I-G-N, and you'd have to find your way to just do the gun together. I was thinking this morning, it's a little bit like the word gnu, nigun. So it's not that we can't do it, but we're just not very used to that gun, with nothing in between. So here we are. I'll share my screen and you can enjoy a little bit of this brilliant song.
Das bissele Borscht mit Kreuz, das Stickele Hering mit Bräut, das Terere Rettich mit Salz, das Teppele Kasche mit Schmalz. Das Terere Loch mit Joich, und Siemes das Bissele Joich, dem Dosiken Kötzen en you, Basher uns Gott en you. Yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da, yai da 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 da. Tee und Latkes mit den Ehe und zu die schöne Fisch Bascher und Gast zum Tisch. Jai da 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 da. Jai da 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 da. Jai da 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 da. Ya da da ya da 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 da. Jai da 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 da. Jai da 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 da. Jai da 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 ya da da ya da 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 da. Jai da 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 das Wissele euch, denn do sie kein Kürzen Menü, Bascher uns Gott in ja, rai, 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 ja, rai, 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 denn do sie kein Kürzen Menü, Bascher uns Gott in
They started singing it all over again. So yes, write the name of the song. Thank you for asking. I will put that into the chat. It's called Das Bissele Pie Spies. And it's an earworm. If ever you've had an earworm, that is an earworm. I am just going to find you. I'm so sorry. I didn't remember to get you the name of the writer. Yes, F.M. Chorney. F.M. Chorney. I'm going to put it in the chat. Music by F.M. Chorney. And lyrics by Meir Haratz. Great. So, such a great song. When I first learned that, I could not stop singing it. So we're coming towards the end of the time I want to speak, because I want to allow time for a little bit of questions and answers, or just sharing a little bit about your experience with Yiddish songs and stuff. One other thing before I finish though, one of my favourite things I discovered was this idea of the different, the points of similarity between, across the board in Yiddish song, these poetic devices that are characteristic of the folk songs. And as a linguist, I just find that absolutely fascinating. So for example, they use diminutives a lot. So instead of saying boim, you get the word beimele. So instead of a tree, a little tree. We don't have that so much. We don't have that little way in English of just adding a suffix and make it a diminutive in quite that way. Or Schneiderl, for example. You often hear about a Schneider, a tailor, and a Schneiderl, is like a little tailor. It's not a perfect translation because it's like you want to give them a hug. It's that, it's sweet. Things like repetition, obviously, in any song you're likely to have that. But all these songs that have a question and answer format as well. So some of you might know the song that goes, Jommele, spiel mir a Liedele, was das Mädele will. Play me a song. What does she want? What does the girl want? And then there's this answer, or perhaps a continuation of the question, saying, Das Mädele will a Hitele haben. Maybe she wants a little hat. And then the answer is, nein, Mama, nein. Nope, that's not what I want. Du kannst mich nicht verstehen. You don't understand me. Du weißt nicht, was ich meine. You don't know what I mean. And the song goes on. So in America, I've come across this as being called a zipper song. With the idea that the basic format stays the same, but you take out a bit and put a new bit in. So the next verse, instead of a hat, the suggestion is, well, maybe she wants some shoes. And, you know, the whole formula happens again. And in the end, it's, oh, maybe she wants a husband. And then finally it's, jo, Mama, jo, you know, du kennst mich schon verstehen. You can understand me. You know just what I mean. So yeah, question and answer, delightful. Obviously, there's the repeating refrain that you might get. There's a beautiful lullaby. I think it's in the first book, actually, Parts of Yiddish Song, that's Unter Bäumen wachsen Geusen, and this lovely Ai lu 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 lu, and that Ai lu 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 might keep coming up throughout the song. Lamentations. What's our favourite lamentation in Yiddish? What's our favourite thing to say? Oy vey. So it's plenty of songs with oy vey in them. Oy vey, mammen you, fa was gibst du mir kein Ruh. That's a great song about not wanting to marry somebody because you don't like their name. So there's this very fussy young woman, well, very fussy woman, who keeps sending away whoever the shadchan has matched her up with because she doesn't like this name, she doesn't like that name. So that's the chorus of that one, which has the oy vey in it. Oy vey, mammen you, fa was gibst du mir kein Ruh? Why don't you give me any peace? Ich will nicht nehmen, avi vey. I'm not going to have just any old one. Teire mammen you, dear mother. So that's one of those with that. And Weh is mir is another one, you know, woe is me, officially translated. And I also, you find these threads that allude to Jewish life. Things about Jewish life, standing under the chuppah, for example, or things like that, the traditions, drinking a glazel l'chaim, you know, making a toast. Biblical allusions. So this is a beautiful way that the religious and it kind of comes into the song, such as there are lots of references to vineyards, for example, and that's straight out of the Song of Songs, kings and queens, Melech, Malka, and references to the liturgy as well. So the song I sang just now, Baruch Ateh, you know, that's straight from the prayer, the Hebrew. And there's also stuff about the dialects, the different dialects, so much really. And also the last thing that I just want to put in is foreign words. So you often get, and I think I'm going to come in and just give you a song which has brilliant examples of this. Foreign words, so for example, poezd is the word for train, and then that's a Russian word, I believe, and kartina, meaning postcard, again brought in. Now I don't know which song to sing because I've got a number of options and I don't want to run over the time. Let me sing you this one. So in the third book of the trilogy, which is the most recent of the three, still quite old, Songs of Generations, there's this beautiful song called Die Sapochkelech. Sapochkelech, that's a Russian word. It means my dear old boots. It's got the diminutive as well, the lech at the end, Sapochkelech. So it's, and one of the best love songs I've ever come across, because the chorus says, me without you, you without me. It's like a handle without a door. Isn't that brilliant? So, and the Russian words that come in, it's so beautiful. So I'm going to read you the notes so that you know the background as well, because it's so good. And the way they translated in this book, they called it Little Boots. I'm our almonds and raisins. Let's see, that might be the ending. That might be the ending of the session. Thanks, Pauline. So it says here it was collected by Michael Alpert. He's one of the most important names in modern Yiddish music. And it was collected from a Russian emigre who was called Bronya Saskina, who was born in the southern Ukraine. And it was popularized at Klez Camp 1985. Now, for me, that feels quite recent. You know, I was 20 in 1985, eh? So again, there are parallels in some of the lines of this with other folk songs. So yes, made popular by Adrienne Cooper and Joanne Bortz. So it says, I would sell my dear old boots and I would travel on the wagons, on the train wagons, just to be with you. And I've already told you the chorus, the handle without a door thing. And then I'd travel, I'd go to the stations, I'd sell shawls or scarves to strangers just to be with you. I'd eat without a table. I would sleep without a pillow just to be with you. So this is Die Sapochkelech. Verkäufen die Sapochkelech und fahren auf die Droschkelech, hab ich mit dir in einem zu sein. Oh, ich und dir und du und mir, wie a Kliamke ohne Tier, Kätzele, Fegele mein. Oh, I forgot to tell you there's a fantastic nigun in the middle, nigun. Here we go. Da 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 I fahren auf die Volkssallechlech und waschen fremde Bollechlech, hab ich mit dir in einem zu sein. Oh, ich und dir und du und mir, wie a Kliamke ohne Tier, Kätzele, Fegele meine. Da 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 schlafen und a Kischele, hab ich mit dir in einem zu sein. Oh, ich und dir und du und mir, wie a Kliamke ohne Tier, Kätzele, Fegele meine. Ja, da, da, da. Thank you. So what I think I will do is let's take a moment now, and if anyone has a question or an observation, or you're welcome to put things in the chat, of course. I'll very happily read them out. If there's anything I haven't referred to that you put into the chat that you want to bring up, that's fine. Do you want to just raise your hand perhaps, and then we'll be able to unmute you if you have anything you want to ask or say? No need, of course. Oh, someone's come into the waiting room. Otherwise, I'm going to round off with a little bit of raisins and almonds. Anything before we do? If you have any feedback, if you have any suggestions or thoughts, please do put them in the chat. And yeah, okay, it sounds like we might be. You know what? I'm just double checking. Yeah, no, I think that's a good choice for the last song. Thank you, Pauline, for asking for it. So, almonds and raisins, one of the most popular what should I say about it? Hundreds and hundreds of different versions of it. And it's a fantastic example of the Yiddish lullaby with the mother present with the child in the moment, but also planning, thinking ahead, what's going to come later in the child's life, what are my aspirations, what would I like this child to become. So it starts with the child being rocked in the cradle, and the mother is singing this song. So again, it's a song within a song. So the chorus is the mother singing to her child, saying, so the child is called Yidele, which also means little Jew. Under Yidele's cradle stands a pure white goat, and the goat has gone to market, and that will be your calling. So she's imagining her boy growing up and being a rich and successful merchant, and then thinking forward. Oh, your life is going to be amazing. You're going to see the railways going. And don't forget the words of this song. So here we are. I'm just going to say thank you. Thank you to Lou. Thank you to Priscilla. It's really lovely to have been able to share the evening with you. I'll feel like I'm rounding off with this song, but if you have anything that comes to you, we can stay in the room, I think, a bit longer afterwards and talk a little, say goodbye. And if you feel like a regular sing, I'm just going to give a tiny plug to my Keep Connected choir. We meet online every Tuesday evening, GMT 7:30 p.m. Very welcome to come. Oh, Jacqueline's given a thumbs up. We have some members of the Keep Connected choir here, in fact. So here we go. In dem Beis HaMikdash, in a Winkelcheder, sitzt die Almone Bastien allein. Ihr ben Jochidl, Jidelen, wiegt sie Keseder und singt ihm zum Schlafen a Liederle schein. Unter Jideles steht a klare weiß Ziegele. Das Ziegele ist gefahren handeln. Das wird sein neuen Bau Es wird kommen eine Zeit von Eisenbahnen, sie werden verflitzen nach halber Welt. Eiserne Wegen wirst du euch bahnen und wirst in dem euch verdienen viel Geld. Halleluja. Und als du wirst werden reich, jederlei, sollst dich ermohnen in dem Liederle. Rosinkäs mit Mandeln, das wird sein dein Bau. Jederle wird als handeln. Schlaf is alle schlaf. La 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 la. La 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 la. Schlaf is alle schlaf. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to hand over to, I'm not sure if Lou or Priscilla are going to want to say anything to round off today.
Well, thank you so much. That was just absolutely wonderful. I don't know any Yiddish whatsoever, but it was just lovely listening to it. So I learned a great deal because I didn't know much about Yiddish music at all. So thank you so much. It was, I think everyone else thought it was absolutely wonderful. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll say it as well. Thank you, Judith. I knew it was the right thing to do, that I knew would be, you generate a lot of interest and everybody would enjoy it. So I'm so glad you were able to do it. And don't be surprised if we ask you to do something else again later on.
Thank you, Lou. Well, that would be a delight. Yeah, there are thank you. Oh, there's some really lovely comments. Thank you so much, everyone. If it's possible to save the chat, I'm not the host of this meeting, so I won't be able to, but that would be really, really nice.
I'm not sure how to do that.
There's a little... Oh, I can save it. Okay.
Yeah, great. Oh, fantastic.
That was easy.
I thought as co-host you might be able to.
Yes, because you made me co-host.
Yeah.
Well, friends, how lovely. So I'm happy to stay in the room a little bit longer if anyone wants to unmute, have a little chat. Malcolm, it looks like you've unmuted. Would you like to say anything?
I'm just going to stop the recording, okay?
Ah, good idea.